Hey, what's up, everybody? We're here at the Washita Showdown. We just finished up the match, and I'm here with competitor and my friend Jim C. He's laughing because we fight like a married couple.
Worse. Like a divorced couple.
We've had a great time this weekend, and I asked Jim to do a gear cast, and Jim was like, why are we going to do a gear cast? Let's talk about what do you need to actually do this, right?
Yeah, because you know, most guys think, oh, it's a competition, I got to have the best stuff. And the reality is, of any competition, this is probably the one you can get by with what you have, or if you want to make a little investment, you can probably get by a lot cheaper than you think. So,
right.
You know, there's a factory class, 12 pound and under, bring your factory rifle, some ammo, whatever scope you got on it that you can dial some turrets on, you're ready to roll. I build custom rifles for a living. I didn't feel the need to go out and spend a bunch of money on brand new product to get a rifle. Right. So I went on longrangehunting.com, scrolled through the classifieds. Here's a 6.5 284 with a couple hundred rounds shot through it that I bought for $1,800.
$1,800 with the scope or just the rifle?
Nope. I put the scope on,
okay.
Added the bipod. In my time crunch to get here, I put some JB weld on here and some screws and screwed on a little Arca plate for my tripod. It's got a cheap quick click bottom metal in it, but they make an 8-round mag for it, so it's perfect for this. There's absolutely nothing fancy about this. It's a McMillan stop, dual trigger, custom action, custom barrel, $1,800.
But you bought it used, so you got a great deal on it.
Yeah, I added a muzzle brake in my shot because obviously that's important to see where our bullets go, but right. Literally, you know, not a lot of money into this thing, comparatively, if you just had a full custom build.
Right, and you got a kick-ass competition, but hunting rifle.
Yeah, and literally, I shot the ammo the previous owner sent with the rifle for this match. It was 7-year-old loaded ammo that I took 6th place with.
Okay, so let's put that into perspective. He shot 7-year-old ammo because that's all he could get right now.
Well, so part of the thing was I have a 100 piece of brand new 6.5 284 Lapua brass sitting on the shelf. So like I thought, well, why load it and shoot it?
Yeah,
I'm ready. I got 100 rounds. It shot well enough. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but it shot good enough. The previous owner was in his 70s, so I was trusting a 70-plus-year-old man to load my ammo for a match. Oh boy, that might have been a mistake.
It might have been, but it worked out well for you.
Yeah, it did. And you know, so let's talk about, this was my first hunter match, so I learned a lot here too. And one of the things was, I had a set of
Furies? Yeah,
Furies, and I got my ballistics programming into them, and there's a couple things I learned. Red LED in them, a white hill, target on the ridge with trees in the background. I'd click on them. I couldn't read the red.
Right.
It was in snow, it was bright out.
Got washed out.
You got washed out. So I kept having to raise it, you know, do some things. So I had a couple ranging issues on some stages where I was in that whiteout snow. The other thing I learned was in the cold, the ballistic calculator slowed down.
Okay.
So instead of getting that 1 to 2 second reading of here's my dope, I'd get the range and then I'd sit there and it felt like an eternity to wait for that thing to give me my calculation. So I literally, the day before the match, made this fancy dope card, which is in 50-yard increments out to 900, which this match only went out to about 750. And I basically just wrote my dope down for the conditions I thought were going to be. So I did a lot of range, read. And so what does that tell you? That I never timed out. That tells me that I can just get a regular rangefinder that'll read my target, and I don't need a ballistic calculator in it. This is a handy tool, and in good weather it's going to work awesome, you know. But when conditions are less than ideal, this is still trumping everything.
Well, and that's why it's always good to have redundancy and backups, right? Because
absolutely,
you don't know, and that's part of, you know, the key feature of why we started the Hunter series, is so that you can learn about how to use your gear. Because if you went on a trophy elk hunt and you used that and you relied only on that in these weather conditions, it might have worked, it might not have.
Yeah.
If you didn't have a contingency plan, you might have screwed up that hunt.
Absolutely. This match was a great test of gear. I mean, when we started shooting, it was cold. It was like 10 degrees and it was blowing about 15 miles an hour.
It was real cold.
We were all cold in the first few stages we shot that morning. They were basically miserable. I mean, you had to shoot with gloves on. I think by the 7th stage, I took my gloves off. I had to sit down, fell backwards in the snow. Both hands ended up in the snow freezing. I mean, so you learn a lot. You know, you learn what your limits are, and you learn what your equipment's limits are. and it just challenges you to be a better hunter and a better shooter. I think this is probably one of the most important pieces of gear on these matches is a good tripod. And one, it's going to give you a stable platform to range off, and basically I just put a wee bad bag on top of this. There you go. Got the range finders out, and basically just use that as a brace to range. And you also got a shooting platform. And
so the tripod, we saw a lot of different tripods out here this weekend. Some that were heavier set design, carbon fiber, some that were a little bit better than photo, you know, like inexpensive photo tripods. Yep. You know, the people that, you don't need to go out and buy a $1,500 tripod, but if you're going to go out and buy a tripod, buy something that's a little bit more robust and has a little stronger base to it, just because it's really going to make a big difference when you're trying to become steady in glass or shoot off of it.
And Bog makes a really good bipod that's carbon fiber.
Tripod.
Yeah, tripod. It's I think it's right around $300. It's got a saddle style clamp in it, so if you don't have an Arca rail, you can just drop your gun in there, turn the knob, set up, and you know, for $300, it's a really steady, durable tripod.
And that's a great option to get you going and make sure that you're comfortable with it, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and in general, so you know, I'm a minimalist. Tripod, bag, rangefinder, rifle. In my pack here, there's not a lot in here. So,
well, hold on, before we get in here, there's been a big discussion on social media, on the hunter groups. What bag should people get? So, not that this is the bag for everybody, but what bag is this?
This is an Eberly stock. This is actually one I picked up off the prize table at the Mammoth Sniper Challenge a couple of years ago. My old Eberly stock is like 15 years old and it was falling apart, and I know they'll fix them and stuff, and I was like,
15 years old, I mean, it served its purpose.
Oh yeah, tons of matches, tons of hunts. It's had elk in it, mule deer, all kinds of stuff.
All right, so what do we got in this Eberly stock?
So the thing I like about this one is this big pouch. I stick my tripod in there, and I stick my bag in there, and I hook this bag on one of these little knobs on the tripod. Okay. So literally when I get to the stage, I just drag it all out at once. A mag pouch, it doesn't fit the magazine I had. It's just always in there. My Kestrel, which I only use this to make this chart the night before the match. Otherwise, it never came out during the match. And then basically this compartment is the NRL brass
pouch,
bag, my quick clip bottom metal magazine, a couple extra magazines, ammo, and a bunch of empty brass.
But something also very good to have out here, a lot of people lose or forget, a couple sets of pens.
Yeah, and
they come in handy.
And one thing I did on a lot of these stages is, and you know, there's 4 targets to range on some of them. So I think 3 stages for the whole match. I had some scotch tape over this one so I could still get to there, and I would write down my target's dope. But what I found was I did just as well if I went out there, looked at the limit markers on the ground, found the first target, ranged it, found the second target, ranged it. Remember, this one was 3.8, this one was 4.3, and then just shot those 2, and then found and shot the next 2.
There you go.
Because it stopped me from having to write stuff down because I just remembered it, and I tried to do all 4, and invariably I'd be able to engage and shoot 1 and 2 and 3, and then I'd always like, oh, I forgot my dope for that one, so I'd rearrange it or whatever, and you know, have to do it. But you know, I never timed out doing it, and I seen some guys that, you know, I RO'd the match, so I watched everybody shoot, and a lot of guys would go up there and they'd spend 3.5 minutes to find and range 4 targets, and then they get down and shoot 1.
Yeah, they run out of time.
At that point, let's just shoot the first 2, get our max points there. If we got time left, we'll find the third and shoot it.
Right.
You know, because you're trying to grow, and you got to kind of know your skill set and where you're at. You know, some of us are going to go up there. We're gonna find and range all 4 targets and engage them easily in the 4 minutes. And some of us newer guys, we just need to step that back a little bit. Hey, let's work on getting 2 on every stage of this match. And then the next match, let's go for 3. Or maybe on the second day, let's go for 3.
Right.
You know.
Time management and expectations, right?
Yeah.
You're out here to learn, you're out here to grow and figure out how to best attack a stage, so to speak. But those stages are designed to replicate realistic hunting scenarios. So if you can't do it here, don't do it in the field. You know, and that's why we have a couple of targets that were out to 700-800 yards. Some matches will be 1,000. It's to show you that a 1,000-yard kill shot on an elk or a deer is not easy.
No, absolutely not. And just the the inability to get good ranges on some targets. And honestly, when you got to, we're on a controlled range here, so we know that if we put a target on a skyline, the match director knows what's behind that target.
Right.
But the point of that target being on that skyline is it's hard to range.
Right.
We have a flat length of ground covered in snow, does not want to send us a beam back and let us range the ground. There's no tree or bush near it. There's a tree line 300 yards behind it. So we know, hey, that tree line's 730 yards. We know that target's between 5 and 6. Can my rangefinder pick up that target? And can I get an accurate range on it? One, that's telling you where's my gear limitation. And then two, that may be a totally doable shot for you, 500 yards.
Right.
Under that condition, with no solid range on it, it's not a shot worth taking. We had a stage with 4 12-inch circles. I got good ranges on 1 and 3, two first-round impacts. I took a guess on 2 and 4 because I couldn't get a good range on them. Clean misses.
Right.
Okay, so what does that tell us? That's a 12-inch circle. Well, that clean miss could have been a gut shot, could have been, skim the back, skin the belly. So, we're really
Which at
learning.
that point, that's an unethical shot.
Yeah.
Right. So
Right,
you don't
'cause
want
we don't know an accurate range.
Right. So you don't want to take that shot unless you are sure of what your target range is, and that you have a clear engagement to it.
Sure. And we got to temper that with the idea that, one, I learned myself, I need a good range. Two, we also know that this is a competition, and we are competing against other shooters. So if we have an opportunity and the time to shoot, we may use the best of our ability to try and hit it.
Right. Yeah. If you're not learning from your misses or your mistakes, then yeah, we got a bigger problem.
Sure. All right.
So, good gear review, awesome rifle, used rifle, 7-year-old ammo, non-expensive. Bought it off of the website. What was the website?
LongRangeHunting.com. It's got a classified section. There's 20 guns get listed every day.
Yeah, we're not sponsored by them. Jim's not sponsored by them, but it's a good resource.
Yeah.
Spend the money where it's necessary. Get training, come out and learn. Practice before you go out and try to make a shot that you're not 100% comfortable with.
Right.
Awesome. Thank you very much, brother.
Thanks, Travis.